Hello and welcome. Today I would like to show you a game Carentan 13 June 1944, released in the Great Battles of Small Units system. It is a tactical, diceless wargames system released by the Polish company Strategemata, and this is fifth game of this system. The previous one was Hill 262 Chambois, and it was released in the box, just like this. And the three previous ones were released in the Ziplocs, and it was Primosol Bridge, 1943, Rzeszów Łańcut, 1939, and Mokra, 1939. I think that these Ziploc ones are not even available today because they were released some years ago, but these two are still available, and this system is pretty cool. I like it, and I decided to show you, since this game was just released this month, or the last month, sorry, so it is a good chance to show you how it works. The game covers all 3 days of the battle for the Carentan town, where American airborne units attacked Carentan from the east and from the north. Their opponents were German paratroopers of the 6th Fallschirmjäger, sorry for my German, regiment, supported by some other units. And after fierce battle, Americans managed to capture Carentan, but just in the next day, Germans launched a counterattack led by the elite Waffen-SS units, and SS almost reached Carentan, but then the cavalry came. In fact, it was not cavalry but American tanks, and they managed to stop Germans. A game has two scenarios. First one is a Purple Heart Lane, which you can see here, and the other is Battle of Bloody Gouge, which is the second stage of the battle where Germans are attacking. But for the purpose of this video, I decided to show you this scenario for the first. Maybe I might record some video about the second scenario later, I don't know. But for this time, I decided for this scenario, and Americans, to win this scenario, have to capture all the hexes of Carentan. If they manage to do it, they are victorious. If at last one hex of Carentan remains in the German hands at the end of the scenario, German player is the winner. I'm not going to play the entire scenario because it has 24 turns, and I think I will play 1 or 2, maybe 3 turns, but I will tell you everything about the system, show you how it works, and describe in details every step. So I think that you might find it helpful. You will see how this system works, and if you like it or not. Because it's, like I said before, kinda unique war game. When you don't roll any die, when you use cards instead, so you have to provide yourself a deck of cards. It's not coming with the game, you have to provide it all by yourself, and you have to remove jokers. We are not using jokers in this game. Okay, but let's talk a bit about counters first, because we are using counters in this game, so let's see what do we have here on the counters. We have 3 factors on the counters. First is the unit strength. It tells us how good this unit has its firepower, and how effective it is in the close combat. Then the middle one is its fire range. It tells us how far a unit may fire. Third is unit's morale. It tells us how well unit can stand enemy fire and other dangerous situations. On the left side, it is unit's mobility. If it is blue background, then the unit is leg. If it is black, the unit is motorized mechanized. We don't have any units like that in this scenario. Oh no, we have. Sorry, we have. There is one single German tank destroyer unit here, so you can see it has black mobility, so it is moving like mechanized unit. And also some, as you can see here, some units have some factors on the right side of their icon. First, guns and mechanized and armored units have their gun and armor factor. If they are firing against any other unit with such factors, we have to check if the firing unit gun is higher than enemy armor factor, and we have to compare. For example, if this unit with the gun of 3 would fire on the unit with the armor of 2, then this unit would have +1 for its firepower. If it would be different, for example, if it would have a gun of 2 and enemy would have armor of 3, then it would have negative -1 for its firepower. If an enemy unit hasn't any armor factor, we don't care about it. But if our target has armor factor and our unit hasn't gun factor, we have to subtract enemy armor factor from our firepower. So you can see armored units are quite effective, especially against non-armored units' fire. Also, some units are headquarters, just for like here or here. These units have their combat support and its support range. So, for example, this headquarter of the 6th German Airborne Regiment has support of 5, so it can spend 5 units of support, 5 points of support among its units, and it has a range of 6, so it can provide these 5 points in the range of 6 hexes. It doesn't have to spend all these 5 points for a single unit. For example, it can provide 3 points for one unit, 2 points for the other unit, and so on and so on. You can divide it as you like. And that's all when it comes to the factors. Also, you can see that units have different colors, and the colors here are very important because they are telling you that such counters are making one unit. So, for example, we have here one battalion. Here we have another battalion, and here we have another battalion. And this is very important because this game is not typical I go, you go game, but rather it works on activation system where you are activating your entire units. Also, as you can see that this unit hasn't a NATO icon like all the others, but it has graphic with a gun. Such units are called support weapons. They are showing some very small groups of weapons, like a single gun, 2 guns, single tank, 2 tanks. Not much of them actually in this particular game, but for example in the previous game, Hill 262 Chambois, there is a lot of such units. And these units are a bit different. They have most factors the same, but for example you can see that this gun has 0 mobility. It was fixed, it cannot move. And they have some other limitations that I will tell you later. Also, you might see that some units have no colors at all. Like for example this anti-tank gun, this infantry platoon. They don't have any colors. This means that they are independent units, and they can be activated along with the units they are taking hex with, or they can be activated independently. And now let's talk a bit about activation. Every time in the player turn, one player might activate his units. He can do it in the three possible ways. To play his card and spend that number of points that it is pictured on the card, or if he doesn't have any good cards, or he wants to keep his cards in his hand, he might always activate one unit. So, for example, let's say that this is American player turn, and he hasn't any cards on hand or else, and he might still activate one unit. So, for example, this red battalion might be activated. Or finally, he might try to activate his units with the card from the deck. He says how many units he wants to activate. He sums all the points he needed. So, for example, American player wants to activate these two battalions. Each battalion costs 2 activation points, so he needs 4 activation points, and he draws a card from the deck. If the card has a proper number or higher, he might activate all of them, and if the card has smaller number, he cannot do anything. So that's the basics. Of course, there is much more rules in this game, but this is the basic of the basic. So now let's start a game. First, we have to draw the proper number of the starting cards for each player. Oh no, sorry. First thing first. First, we have to check the initiative counters. Each scenario tells us about activation colors. You can see they are here. We have four initiative counters. Each one has 2 sides, for American and for German player. And this scenario tells us that American player starts with 3 initiative colors. So we have to draw 3 cards from our deck. 1, 2, 3. And place the counters with the matching colors on American side. I already have it. I already have it, so I don't have to do anything. These 3 colors are for American player, and this one for German player. Okay, I can place these cards aside. And next we have a number of cards at the beginning of the game. It says Americans 10 cards, Germans 5 cards. So we have to draw 10 cards for American player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 7, 8, 9 and 10. This is American player starting deck. And now 5 for German player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is German players starting deck. And now we are almost ready to start our game. Okay, so first thing first, the turn 1 is played. We have to check who is going to have an initiative in this turn. I am drawing 1 card from the deck, and I check the color. This is American color, so Americans have initiative in this turn. And now I am placing this counter aside, on the other side. And now it will work for Germans. So if in the turn 2 I will draw the same color, then the Germans will have an initiative. Alright. So I take turn marker and place it in the field 1 with American flag on. So now Americans have initiative. Good. So I have to check my cards. These are American player cards. So all the figures and aces have a value of 1, and all the other cards have a value of their number. So this is 1, this is 8, this is 5, this is 7, 9, 6, 1, 1, 4, 1. And now, how many? Which of them is best? You can see 8 and 9. So I think I will play 8. Why not 9? Because I have to spend 2 points to activate each group. I can spend 1 point to activate support weapons or independent unit, but Americans haven't any of such units at the beginning of the game. They get them later thanks to the reinforcements, but we don't care about it for now. So you spending 9 would be a waste, since we can spend 8 or 10 points. So I will keep this card for later use. It might come in handy when I will need it. And now I can activate 8 I can spend 8 points to activate my units, so I can choose units of the total value of 8. I don't have to tell all of them now. I can activate one unit, make my actions, and then tell which unit is going to be activated next. This is my choice. So, what I'm going to do is to activate this battalion first. It is 2nd Battalion of the 327 Glider Infantry Regiment. So let's zoom a bit, so I will be able to show you everything in details. Alright, so I have 4 units of this battalion, 3 companies and 1 regiment. Sorry, and 1 headquarter. So I will start with this company. Because in this system you are always moving with a single unit. You cannot move with stacks. You are always making your move with a single unit. So I'm moving here, and this is 1. Because this is clear terrain, this is lower terrain, this is upper terrain. So I move here. And now I am on the higher ground than these Germans, and I am in their range. Because they have range of 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, so they can see me, and because of that I have to check how many times they might fire during because of their defensive fire. So I draw a card for each of these units. I have 2 German units here, so I have to draw 2 cards. First for this platoon, it is 4. So I have to check in the defensive fire table, which is in the rulebook, how many times this unit might fire. If I will roll 0, or if I would get 0 or less, yes, it is possible, I will show you later, then I get no defensive fire. If I get 1 to 4, I get 1 defensive fire. If I get 5 to 7, I get 2 defensive fires, and if I get 8 to 10, I get 3 defensive fire. So this platoon gets 1 defensive fire. Now the unit below gets 1. Oh, this is 1 defensive fire. Now this anti-tank gun, it is 1. And now if we draw a figure, then it activates some event. Every time you get a figure, you have to stop your actions and check what kind of event it activates. And this card activates Quick Reorganization. Initiative player might reorganize one of his disorganized units, but American player hasn't any disorganized units so far, so we might ignore this event. And now we have to check for this Fallschirmjäger, so again, sorry for my German, company. Wow, it is 9, so they get 3 defensive fires. So now we know how many times they will be able to fire in this turn. We have always to check the number of defensive fire for all the enemy units that have our moving unit in their range. So now Germans are able to fire at me. Each of these units might fire only once. for every hex my unit moves. So I will start with this German airborne unit. They have firepower of 2. So I draw a card. Oh, and this is 1. I add my number of my firepower, which is 2. So I have total of 3, and I compare it with the unit's defense. Unit's defense is its morale added to the terrain defensive factor. I am in the clear terrain, so I don't have any defensive factor, but I have 6, and 6 is definitely higher than 3, so I am safe. And now I am placing this one on the X side, so this German airborne company may no longer fire in this turn. Now this platoon is going to fire as well. Maybe they will be more lucky. Oh, they are not. Queen has a value of 1, so they missed as well. I have to check what kind of what kind of event it is, and it says that player who hasn't initiative might check his cards and might remove some of them and draw new cards. So, as you can see, this is German player hand, and this is pretty bad. So I think I will remove this queen, and I will draw one more card. Oh, another queen. Bad luck for Germans. So, Germans missed again. But they still have units here, and they might still try to fire. I will fire with this airborne company. They have 3 defensive fires, so they might be more lucky. If not now, then later. We have firepower of 2. I draw a card, and it is 3. Oh, 3 plus 2 is 5. It is less than 6, so Americans are still safe. And I am moving this counter on the side with 2. And finally, my last chance here is this anti-tank gun. As you can see, Americans have no armor factor, so I don't use my gun factor. No, my. Or rather, Donnerwetter in German. This is 2 plus 2, it is another miss. That was very, very poor shooting for Germans. Okay, I moved here. It was 1 movement point. I move here. It is 2nd movement point, and I'm finishing my movement. I cannot move here because it would cost me 1.5 point to cross the river, and I think that moving on the woods would cost me 1.5 point. So I definitely don't have enough points to move here. Now this company 1, 2, and 3. Because I'm moving down through the road, I can enter this village normally. Because if I would enter this village from the non-road hex, I would have to spend 1.5 movement point. But if I move through down the road, I spend 1 movement point. And now I'm in the fire. Sorry, I have to move aside because when I enter this hex, I am entering a firepower of this unit. You can clearly see me. It is on the same high as me, and they have a range of 4. So let's check the number of defensive fire. 1. Oh, it is bad. And what kind of event it is? A king. Additional orders. Non-initiative player might draw new cards, but he can't get more than his initial hand. German player has already 5 cards on his hand, so he cannot draw more. So no firepower for this unit. and they, sorry, I should place it here, and now they, 1, 2, 3, 4, so they cannot see me. And I am firing with these Germans. They have only one firepower and a card of 2. This is bad. So they missed. And the question is if they can see me. I think yes. I am on the higher ground, so they can see me. So let's check. 7. Two defensive fires. And now their firepower, wow! It is 10. Impressive. Impressive and bad as well. You will see why. First, I have to add 10 to my firepower. This is 12. This is 12, so it is higher than unit defensive. So the American unit is disorganized. It is placed with disorganized marker. And if the total number is twice bigger than unit defense, or even bigger, then enemy unit suffers 1 step loss. If it wouldn't be bigger than twice bigger, then unit would be only disorganized. But since it was twice bigger, unit also suffers 1 step loss and has to stop, of course. And now, why it was bad? Because it is 10. If you draw a card of 10 during your firing action or during your close combat action, you get 1 point ammo down. You take your ammo counter. I need to move on the turn track. You take your ammo marker and you place it on the 1, on the field 1. If it reaches the number described in the scenario, for Germans it is 3, then your units cannot offensive fire. And every time you check for a card that tells you how many times you are able to fire during your defensive fire, you have to subtract a number your ammo counter is on. So now Germans, every time when they will check for the defensive fire numbers, will have to subtract 1 from the card value. So this is good because it is very effective fire, but it is also bad because it gets us this nasty lack of ammo. Alright, so now I'm moving this company. Sorry, this company. This is headquarters. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 2. Now these Germans are firing again. Now they had 2, so now they have 1, and they are firing again. So now they will have 0. They have 2. Oh, yet another lucky shot for them. They have 9 plus 2. It is 11. So you can see this is not twice bigger than 6. So Americans are disorganized only. And now if I can see them with this unit, 1, 2, 3, 4, no. Alright, so that's all for, no, not all, I still have my headquarters. Where I'm going to move it, 1, 2. And now that's all for this unit, this group. I spent 2 activation points. And sometimes, when I have a lot of units, and I activate a lot of them, and to remember about it, I use D10 die and place it on my card to remember how many activation points I already spent. And you can see I spent 2 activation points, so I still have 6 of them. So let's take a look on the board and see what other units I would like to activate. I think I will activate Battalion 1. So I'm moving down the road. So 1, 2, 3, and since I'm making my entire movement through the road, I am able to get 1 additional movement point. But now I have to stop here and check if Germans, yes, This German unit has two defensive fires, so he might still fire on me when I enter this hex. So they have firepower of 2. I draw a card, and it is 7. Oh, 7 plus 2 is 9. So it's higher than my defense, so I am disorganized, and German gets 1. Now this card is out, and now 3 remaining battalions. 1, 2, 3. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm in the range of this German company, so I draw a card. This is Joker. This is wallet. Okay. Sorry, squire in English. So they have 1 defensive fire, and the squire is quite an interesting card because it activates a sniper event. A sniper event allows initiative player to disorganize 1 enemy unit which is in his which is visible for his units. So I might choose 1 unit on the hex marked with a heart that might units can see, and I think I will choose this unit. It is on the hex with heart, and it is very dangerous for my units that will try to move through this swamp here. So I decide to use this event to disorganize this German unit. Now these Germans are firing on me. They have firepower of 1, so I draw a card, and 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. It is less than my defense, so they missed. So I was here, so 1, 2, 3. Now this company moves 1, 2, 3 here, and this headquarter 1, 2, or maybe 3. So that's all for this battalion. So these were 2 another initiative point activation points spent. So I still have 4. And now let's go a bit north, because I have some stuff to do there as well. First, I'm going to use my artillery. As you can see, I have artillery observer unit here. It has no firepower, no range, only a defensive value and movement. But still, it can provide us some important support of artillery. First, I have to check if I see enemy hex I want to fire on. I can see this unit and this unit because swamp is not blocking my line of sight. This is the same same high, so I can see them, and I want to fire my artillery on this hex. And now I have to check. Because I have artillery observers, I might play a card from my hand that has the same color than that, like this hex. So this is ace of spades, sorry, this is spade, and this is spade as well, so I might use it. If I wouldn't have my artillery observers and I would like to call my artillery support, I wouldn't be able to play this card from my hand. I would have to draw a card from the deck to see if I hit. If it would be the same color as the hex I would like to fire on, I would hit. And if I would roll a different color, then I would hit some of the other hex which has a matching color to the card I draw. But I hit with this ace of spades, so this hex is under fire of American artillery. I take a counter of American artillery and place it here to remember that I'm using this. As you can see, it has a matching color to the units, to the observer. And now I have to count a total value of artillery fire. It has 3, so it is its basic firepower. And now I draw a card. Oh my! This is pretty impressive. This is 10. And 10... and now I have to multiply this card with 3 times, because artillery gets such amazing firepower that it multiplies a card's value by 3. So I have 33 of firepower. This is this is 5 times more bigger than its defense, because 4, because it has 6 and it is in the farm, and farm provides us +2, so they have 8 and I have 33, so this is definitely enough to disorganize them and suffer them 1 step loss. And now I have to place this artillery unit counter on my turn track, on the turn 2 field, like here. So I will have to remember that I am not able to use this artillery in my next turn. When my turn marker reaches this hex and leaves it for the field 3, then this counter will return on its to its artillery box, and then it will be able to be used again, but not in the turn 2. And now, since I get 10, I have to take American ammo counter and place on the one in the field 1 as well. So Americans also are out of ammo on the level of 1. Using artillery costs me 2 activation points, so I spent 6 of them and I still have 2. What I'm going to do? I'm going to activate this battalion here, and I'm about to move it through this swamp. And now, in this game, every unit has its it is called maximum movement. It can move on the adjacent hex, spending all of its movement points, and move no more, even if moving on such a hex would cost more than his movement points. He cannot enter a hex when such a hex is forbidden. But here, for example, this hex is not forbidden for infantry, but it would cost me 2 movement points to move through the river and 2 movement points to move on the swamp. 2, sorry, or maybe 3, I have to check. 3. So I would have to spend 5 movement points to move on this hex. I wouldn't be able to do so because they have 3 movement points. So I'm using this minimum movement, and I'm entering this hex only. And now, if any German unit can see me, I think not. Or maybe yes. This gun, as you can see, has an amazing range of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yes, I'm in the range. So let's draw a card. Oh, they have only 1 fire. And also, because of this card, American player might activate his sniper again. And now, what kind of hex I'm going to snipe? I cannot see them. Oh yes, I can see this hex because this American unit is on the higher ground, so they can see them. And I'm going to disorganize this German paratroopers, because they are quite dangerous for me. Alright, and now I'm firing with this gun. It has a firepower of 1. And I got 5. I got 6. Americans have a defense value of 6, so they should be safe, but they are not. Why? Because when they are on the marsh hex, they get their defense lowered by 1, so they have 5, and I have 6, so they are disorganized. Good shot. And this gun cannot fire anymore. Again, I'm moving this headquarter here. It is also its minimum movement, and now it is visible for this German airborne company. Not for this headquarter, because you can see that this headquarter has a range of 1, so it cannot fire on them. For this German company, and not for this headquarter. So I have to check a number of of defensive fires for each of them. Oh, I think I made one mistake. Why? Okay, I will tell you now. I forgot to subtract a number of lack of ammo from this card. They get 1 here, so they would have 0, so they wouldn't be able to fire, to make a defensive fire here. I won't change anything, but for now I will have to remember. So I draw a card for this German airborne company. It is 3, and I have to subtract 1, so I have 2. Still, it allows me to fire once. Now for them, it is 8. 8 minus 1 is 7, so they are allowed to fire twice. They are firing first. They have 2 plus 2. It is a miss, so they have 1. And now them, they are firing with 2 plus 4. It is 6. And again they are in the swamp, so they have their defense reduced by 1, so they have 5. So they are disorganized. And this German unit cannot fire anymore. Alright. Next, this company. 1. And now they are moving through the levee, and it costs me 2 movement points. So I have to stop here. And now this company just moves on this hex, because you can the levee or swamp have only one unit stacking range, stacking limit. So that's 8. Oh my. Where is 8? Where is 8? Oh, it is here. So you can see I spent all my 8 activation points, so I cannot activate any more of my units in this turn. So this ends turn 1. I am removing this card. I also have to remove all the defensive fire counters, even if you can see some of them are still unused. They can still be fired, so, but no, I am removing them. And I am moving to the turn 2. First I have to check who is going to be active player. It is Spade, and Spade is American color. Let's go on. Check. You can see this is Spade, so I move Spade on the German side, but for this turn it is on American side. So Americans are allowed to activate their units. I am checking American player hand. I think I will use this 9. Or maybe not. Maybe not. It is always wise to keep at least one very strong card on your hand, because there might be situation you will need it, and you never know when you will get replacement. So it's better to keep such card and to not spend all of your stronger cards, because there might be some dire situation that you will really need this best card for some certain thing like close combat or some situations might be different, but it's always good to keep such one card on your hand. So I'm going to activate 6 American units in this turn. Sorry, not the 6 unit, but 6 activation points. I will start with this battalion. As you can see, one of its company was disorganized. I think, yes, it was here. And now I can reorganize it. I can spend all of its movement points and do not make any other actions, but I might reorganize it. To reorganize unit, you have 2 options. First, you might play a card from your hand that has a value lower than unit's morale. As you can see, this organization counter lowers unit's morale by 1, so they have 6, and thanks to this counter they have 5. So if I would play a card with the value of 5 or less, then they would be reorganized. Or, if I don't have any cards like that, I might draw a card from a deck, and if it's lower or equal to the unit's morale, then it can be reorganized. But I have a lot of cards on my hand, so I will play this king, and this unit is reorganized. It cannot do anything else in this turn. It reorganizes itself, but still it's in a good shape now. Next, I am going to fire with this company. My target is this German Ost battalion, and now when when you are making offensive fire, things are a bit different. First, you are multiplying your firepower by 2. So I am firing with 3, and it is multiplied, so it is 6. Next, you might use support of your headquarter. I'm going to do it, so I have 2, and I'm spending 1 support point, so I have 7. And now I can play a card from my hand, or I might play a card from draw a card from a deck and add its value to my firepower. I'm going to draw a card from a deck. Oh, it is 7. I had 7, and plus 7 it is 14. Enemy defensive value is 4, so it's twice bigger than enemy defense. So this Ost battalion is disorganized, and it suffers 1 step loss. This might be bad, because these Ost battalions are very hard to reorganize, and they might even desert. Okay, that's first thing. Also, you cannot fire with with more units than 1. As you can see, I have 2 companies here, but they cannot fire together. Each of them have to fire independently. Next, I'm going to use my other company to fire at this German airborne unit. I have firepower of 6 because of 3 multiplied by 2. I'm using 1 point from my headquarters, so I have 7, and I will play a card from my deck. So I have 7 plus 5, it is 12. Germans have 6, but town supports them with the defense value of 3, so they have 9. I have 12, they have 9, so they are disorganized, but they do not suffer any losses. Still, they are disorganized. And these are all actions for this battalion. So I'm marking with 2. And next, I'm going to activate this red battalion. First thing first, I will try to reorganize this company. I will try to use it with the card from the deck. It is a king. Good. King has value of 1, so they are fine. And I have to check an event, King of Spades, additional orders. A player who has an initiative might draw as many cards as he wants, as he needs to make his hand full. So American hand, starting hand was 10. I have 5 cards, so I draw 5 cards to make it full. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was very good event for Americans. And next I am going to try to reorganize this company next. And this is 8. No, I failed because I needed 5 or less and 8 was too high, so I cannot reorganize my Americans. But I still have 2 companies here. Sorry, 1 company and 1 headquarter. I cannot fire with this company because they don't have any enemy units inside, because this orchard is blocking my line of sight. This village is also blocking my line of sight, so I don't see any Germans. Good thing that they can't see me as well. But I will make movement. I need to shuffle my deck because I spent my entire deck, so I have to shuffle it. Alright. And now I'm moving here. And because of moving on this hex, I'm in the line of sight of and in the range of these anti-tank guns. So I have to check how many times they are going to fire. I draw 2 and -1 because of the lack of ammo, so they have 1 defensive fire. Any other German units might see me? Yes, they can see me. 1, 2, 3. So a card for them. 1. And because of -1, this is 0. So they cannot fire at all. And the king, additional orders, players who hasn't initiative. So German player has 1, 2, 3, 5 cards. So he cannot get more because he already has 5. So that's all, I believe. Them? No. No, they cannot see me. So they can fire at me with the firepower of 2. Oh, good shot. 2 plus 9 is 11. I have 6 plus 2 because of the village, so I have 8. So I am disorganized. And they get X. So that's all for this battalion. And now let's go north. I will try to activate this battalion as next. First, I will try to reorganize this headquarter. 3, good. They are reorganized. Next, this company. 7, no, they are not reorganized. And now I'm moving them. First, 2 movement points, so I'm here. And now I'm in the line of sight of these Germans. So this gun first. 4 minus 1 is 3, so 1 shot. Paratroopers, 8 minus 1 is 7, 2 shots. They 1, 2, 3, 4, yes, they can see. Wow, 10 minus 1 is 9, so 3 shots. And now this 10 is not working as the lack of ammo because it wasn't wasn't drawn during firing. It was only drawn during the checking of numbers of the possible fire of a defensive fire, but not during the firing. So it's not lowering German ammo. This is good. Alright, so Germans are able to fire. I will fire with this company first. They have firepower of 2 plus 3, it is 5. Americans have 6 minus 1, 5, so they are fine. Now I will use this airborne company, so they have firepower of 2. Oh! Germans have really bad luck now. 3. Americans have 5, so Americans are fine. And the Queen provides additional ammo. Wow! But no, this would be great for Germans, because they really need this ammo. Americans have also defensive ammo of lack of ammo on the level of 1, and this card allows initiative player to reduce the number of lack of ammo. So Americans are again with full ammo, and Germans missed their hit. So I have to reduce it to 1. And now their last chance is this 88 flak gun here. Oh, finally, they made it. 9 plus 1 is 10. And this American has a defense of lowered by 1, so they have 5. So they are disorganized and they suffer 1 step loss. Good. And this gun has a firing defensive factor lowered to 0. And now I have only this company. I cannot move any further. And anyone can fire on me? 1, 2, 3, 4. No. So that was all. I spent all my 6 activation points, so I cannot activate any more of my American units. So I'm finishing this turn. I am removing all these defensive fire counters. And now let's go to the turn 3. Alright, so we are going with the turn 3. So let's start with initiative card, and this is German initiative. Alright, so Germans have an initiative in this turn, so I have to take German initiative marker and flip it on the American side. Okay, so let's check German cards. Not very good. I think this 6 is the best a German player might use. So that's when it also I should move turn marker. Also, first I have to flip it on the German side and move it on the field 3, and then American artillery counter returns to the box with available American artillery. Alright, so I have to choose Germans that are about to be activated in this turn. I think I will start with this battalion, because I would love to reorganize these 2 companies as quick as possible. So I will start with them, or maybe not, maybe them, and I will spend my queen to reorganize them. As for them, I will try to do the same, but with the drawing card from the deck. Great, this is ace. So they are activated, sorry, they are reorganized. And now I can activate this stack with these 2 companies and this gun. First, I will try to fire with this company 1, 2, 3, 4 on this American headquarter. I have firepower of 4, and I am using staff support, so I have +2, so I have 6. I have 6, I am drawing a card, and 6, so I have 12. Great. 12, and they have 6 minus 1 because they are on the swamp, so they have 5, so they are disorganized and they suffer 1 step loss. You may see that they have same strength on each side, 1 and 1, but their support is lowered when they suffer 1 step loss. Great, that was a good shot. And now I am firing with this gun because it was stuck together with the activated units, and so I am able to fire with it, and I am targeting this unit, or no, I think I will target this unit because it is not disorganized. I am firing with 1. Yes, when you are firing with support weapons, you are not doubling their strength, so that I am firing with 1, and nope, queen is 1, so 2. So this was a miss, and I have to check for the event, and this queen, change of orders. A non-initiative player might choose as many of his cards, he might discard them and draw new cards. So this is for American player. I think I will try this such thing. I will discard these 2 and take 2. Oh, at last it's 7, so it's good. That was for American player. Okay. So, Germans missed. Okay, that was my first activations, and with 2 activation points spent. Next, I am activating this battalion. So what I'm going to do first is I'm trying to reorganize this company. 4, they have 5, so they are fine, good. And now these units here are in this particular scenario, they are activating in the same way as support weapons. So when they are stacked together with the already activated units, they can be activated as well. Alright, so first thing first, I will activate this company, 1, 2, 3, 4, to fire on these Americans. I have 4 plus 3, it is 7, so Americans are hit, and they are already disorganized, so they have retreat 1 hex. Next, this company is fortifying themselves. They have to spend all of their movement points. They don't have any other actions, but they are using fortification marker, so they get additional bonus for their defense on this hex. And now I will try to reorganize this German company. I will use a card for this, because this is pretty important unit. And this anti-tank gun decides to fire on these Americans. It has 4, because it is a unit. You can see this is not a support weapon. It has an icon, so it is a unit, so they have 4. And they are using a support of this headquarter. So it can provide me amazing support of 5. So I have 7 already. Oh, 9. 9 minus 5 plus 2, it is 7. So I have 9 against 7, so Americans have to retreat. I hoped they will be eliminated, or maybe not eliminated, but I hoped that they will suffer 1 step loss. Well, they didn't. Okay, so that was my second activation. It is 4, so I still have 2 activation points. And I think I will try to use my artillery. Germans have 1 artillery unit, and they don't have artillery observers. They can only fire with cards. So I'm choosing this hex because this is a stack of 2 American units, and artillery always hits all the units on the hex, so it would be very effective. I need to draw a spade to hit this hex. So, I am drawing a card, and no, this is not a spade, so I have to check the all hexes around, and the non-initiative player is choosing a hex marked with this symbol which was hit. So I have this hex and that hex. So I'm choosing this hex by all means, so no one is hit by this artillery fire. And now Germans have had problems with artillery ammo in this battle. Because of that, this artillery counter is now flipped on the non-available side, and the Germans have to activate it again to flip it again on the available side, but they are not able to fire this time. They will have to activate it even once more to fire with it. So you can see this is very problematic for Germans to use their artillery effectively in this battle. So it cost the Germans another 2 activation points, so they spent already their maximum of 6 activation points, and this ends their activation. So that's all when it comes to the German turn, and I think that's all when it comes to this video as well. I managed to show you most of the stuff, of course not all, because we hadn't any armored units in this battle, so I wasn't able to show you how the armored units are fighting against each other. But I think there is another scenario more focused on artillery units, on armored units. So I think I might do some more videos about this game later. But as for today, I think that's all. Thank you for watching, and see you again.